course, I'm going to address the unfortunate, regrettable shooting incident that took place recently on the 17th of July here on our island. It's very regrettable and actually a horrible act that took place in our community, especially realizing that our St. Martin is traditionally not known with such acts. And for that reason also it has my attention for us to make sure that we can guarantee safety and stability in this community. The first thing that I did is on the Thursday after the incident Wednesday night is that I had a meeting with the prosecutor's office, with the Minister of Justice, with the VDSM, with the head of police, myself as Prime Minister, for us to actually, and the President of Parliament, for us to have a first crisis meeting to see how we're going to mediate in this latest development. And after that, we had a meeting on the 22nd of July, enhancing the group with including also the members of Parliament. Actually, as you know, we have the trias politica, in which we have separation of powers, but in this case of the interest of the safety that has to be guaranteed to the people of St. Martin, the best approach is for us to unify in this case and have a common communication and standpoint on the way moving forward. As a Prime Minister of this country, I'm very aware of these latest developments. Before the Wednesday even, we had a spike of some shooting incidents already here in our community. And additional to, of course, the one that happened last week Wednesday, I decided as Prime Minister of this country that we have to ensure safety for our people in our community. And that is the reason that in deliberation and in communication and in meetings with all the instances that secures safety for our community, I decided that we're going to enhance the enforcement of the police for Country St. Martin. And we decided that we're going to get an enforcement of 25 extra members of the police force together from Curaçao, from Aruba, from St. Eustatius, and from Saba. We're going to get an enforcement of 10 police officers from Curaçao, 10 from Aruba, 3 from Statia, and 2 from Saba. That's the first step. Secondly, we got assistance from the SWAT team from Curaçao. They are here on the island, and it's a group of 6 persons enforcing and helping the police force of St. Martin. That is the SWAT team that Curaçao is helping us with. And next to that, we have a whole group of 23 persons from the RST that are also coming to St. Martin to safeguard the security of this country. Next to that, on election day, we're going to get assistance from the VKS, also from Country St. Martin. We are in negotiations with the Marie-José, the Kimar of St. Martin, that is going to assist us to heading towards election day on the 19th of August and after that period too. And additional to that, to show our commitment that we are not going to succumb for threat of violence and violent behavior in this country, I requested military assistance from the kingdom to come to St. Martin. I have committed to the people of St. Martin that this Prime Minister is not going to tolerate violence, and especially not if this violence is going to threaten our democratic system of our country. So I do not want to have one regretful moment with an incident, and I decided that these are the big steps that this Prime Minister is taking to show the people of St. Martin that this Prime Minister is standing in for the safety for our beloved St. Martin. And especially because we are not accustomed to this, I want to, as soon as possible, tackle this problem for our society to get back the rest and the stability in a society that we were always accustomed to in the past. Next to that, I have more measures that I'm taking with the Council of Ministers, and one of them is that on the day of elections, selling of alcohol is prohibited. We are not going to allow the selling of alcohol on that day. Secondly, we are not going to permit agglomeration, gathering of groups of fans representing the different political parties by the polling stations. I do not want no citizen to be threatened, intimidated, or influenced on his way in all tranquility, contemplating for who he or she is going to vote. And thirdly, we are not going to allow public meetings anymore heading towards election day. We do not want gathering of people that we feel unsafe with, that there is a threat for agglomeration of people in our society where we cannot guarantee the safety of each individual person that wants to be present or assist one of these public meetings. And for us to guarantee safety of our citizens, I decided together with the COM in a Council of Ministers decision that we are not going to permit agglomeration of people around polling stations. There was in the past some measures taken to keep those groups from a distance from the polling station, still expressing their wishes and their support to political parties. It's their right in a democratic system, but because this is a snap election and there is also some tension in the community, this Prime Minister decided to have some radical decisions for us to guarantee great safety for the people of our country. So agglomeration of people around polling stations will not be allowed. Public meetings as of now are not going to be allowed, and no alcohol selling on the day of election. In summary, I hope that in this way, by taking this decision, that people are going to get, again, the reassurance that they have a serious government that is considering and guarding for the safety of their beloved St. Martin.
Vacation allowance subsidized school teachers. Specifically concerning the situation with subsidized school teachers and their 1% vacation allowance, although this is not my direct responsibility, I have received numerous texts from teachers regarding the payment issue. The perception is that this falls under the responsibility of finance. However, this matter falls under the Ministry of Education. Nevertheless, after receiving confirmation that the Ministry of Education has made the necessary provisions to include this allowance in the amended budget for 2024, I decided to look into the matter further, as I personally find it unfair that teachers of subsidized schools have to wait until the budget is amended while all other civil servants received their payments in June. Together with the Ministry of Education, we examined the situation and confirmed the payments can be made within the current budget for 2024, in anticipation of the Budget Amendment 2024. This advice has been drafted and is currently going through the approval process within government, and we intend to have this advice approved by the Council of Ministers next week and subsequently transfer the funds to the subsidized schools. Tax reimbursement or tax restitution. I have been reviewing the tax reimbursement process and have gathered crucial information that I believe the public needs to know when it comes to receiving their reimbursement from government. The current process is in no way beneficial or fair to the taxpayer. And after assessing this, as Minister of Finance, I can firmly state it needs to be revised. To ensure clarity on this matter, I will be creating a separate video to share this key information to the public this week. Income tax returns. With regard to tax returns, I have received various inquiries about the prolonged processing time of income tax returns. Currently, the tax office is busy with the year 2021. This delay is primarily due to system limitations and manpower constraints and inefficient processes. Another critical factor is the tax tables. We are diligently working to finalize the tax tables for the years 2023 and 2024, which unfortunately should have been completed prior to the start of those specific years. This delay impacts both the tax office, employers, and employees on the island. If these tax tables were published timely, it would have ensured correct tax deductions during the year by the employers on the salaries of the employees. Not having these in place in a timely manner leads to incorrect payroll summaries at the end of the year and more work for the tax office when processing the income tax returns. Budget Amendment 2024. The budget amendment for the year 2024, I would like to update you on the amended budget for the year 2024. We have made the necessary revisions to the budget and submitted it to the Committee for Financial Supervision, CFT, for Article 11 review. We have received their feedback and are currently making the final adjustments. Our goal is to submit this to the Council of Advice at the beginning of August. We have made cuts in the 2024 budget, reducing both income and expenses to 26 million guilders. The issue of the tourist tax, which has been included in the budget for the past 2 years and had to be taken out in both years, faced delays due to the lack of a board at the Social Economic Council, the SER. This has stalled many necessary laws for our country. Unlike the previous administration, we have taken measures to address the issue at its core to ensure that the law can progress and actually reach Parliament for implementation. I am pleased to announce that after being inactive for more than a year, the SER's board's matter has been addressed, allowing our country to continue making the necessary legislative steps. This will allow the essential laws to be reviewed and continue in the process and will provide the country with the additional income to be able to provide the residents of St. Martin with the much-needed tax relief to increase their purchasing power as they have been carrying St. Martin for the last years, and this is not sustainable anymore. Merchant restrictions for the bank card transactions. Lastly, I would like to address the issue of some merchants on the island requiring a minimum purchase amount to be spent in order for customers to make payments with their bank cards. The Windward Islands Bank has publicly stated that this practice is not allowed. I have inquired with other banks on the island and received confirmation from several that this practice is indeed not permitted. Once we have completed this investigation, I will make a formal statement to prevent this from happening in the future and to make sure that this is clear to all merchants. In closing, today, Dr. Claude Watty, the legendary leader of the Democratic Party, would have been 98 years old. I am here today, a proud member of the DP, because of his visionary leadership, and I pay tribute to his legacy by offering the University of St. Martin, which he was instrumental in establishing, 10 copies of the book Claude, A Portrait of Power. May he continue to inspire us all as we move on with the torch he has handed over to us to bring light to this dark period we are going through. Thank you for your understanding, your patience, as we continue to address various issues and make the much-needed improvements. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. It is crucial that we as a nation maintain mutual respect and consideration for one another. And as your Minister of Finance, I remain committed to keeping you informed.
SZV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SZV is cardless. Request your My SZV account today and enter the virtual office of SZV. Go to szv.sx and sign up now.
SZV, yeah, your social health insurances.
You said that you've received the budget amendment has been forwarded to the CFT. You have also received advice from the CFT as it pertains to that. Can you give us an idea as to what some of those advice are?
Well, the advice, thank you for your question, Mr. Cerulean. The advice that was received initially was that it was an inflated budget, and therefore we needed to cut along all ministries. It was a tedious task, and it's still ongoing because I need to make sure that all ministries, while they are responsible for their respective budgets, understand that because it was inflated by the previous government, this now has the attention, and I'm talking about things such as the same tourist tax that was placed in not once but twice, and no legislation behind it. We also talked about the shares of Winair. So all in all, we needed to make sure that across the board, all ministries cut, and by doing so, we can then present a realistic budget. And I want to be in compliance with...
2 weeks ago, during the press briefing, Minister Lewis said that per inquiry, there was 8 million in the crime fund, and within a short period of time there was 4 million less, with no explanation given as to where this money went. The audit chamber did a quick scan on the crime fund, establishing that the funds were used for purposes they were not intended for, and they recommended that the crime fund be incorporated in the national budget for you to have oversight as Minister of Finance. Mm-hmm. How do you feel that there is a budget with millions on it and you don't know where that money is spent on? And that's a personal question. And then what is the procedure to get this incorporated in the national budget, and have there been any discussions on that?
You know, to be honest with you, of course, you can imagine that I would want to have a clear overview as to what money is where. And the fact that I don't have a clear picture at this moment is not a good feeling. Allow me the opportunity to not only discuss this matter alongside the Minister of Justice, but as a Council of Ministers, and then be able to revert to you with a proper response.
Budget amendment, is there a time frame as to when it's supposed to be in Parliament? And my second question for you is, where does government stand as far as the amount of money in the coffers of government?
I think that was one of the questions that was posed at one of my earlier press briefing in reference to where we stand. Mr. Cerulean, I know you, as much as I would want to reveal that information at this time, I choose not to, for the interest of being in a you know, I really, while I would want to share and be open to sharing that information with the people of St. Martin, I think we need to be mindful of what is there, you know, what is really in the coffers of St. Martin. I don't want to scare anybody at this point. So we are working along with the budget that we have, and I would reserve that answer by basically saying we are doing everything in our power to making sure that going forward we have what we need to keeping this country where we want it to go. Your first question was about when it reaches Parliament. We are now going to a deadline of August, so everything is set now for reaching to August. The final budget needs to be approved. I know 2025 by December 15th, if I'm not mistaken, is the date.
With regards to the safety and security of parliamentarians and also other individuals within the COM, this was already taken up with the Chief of Police already. Most of the things mentioned here and questions asked are also, we also have the solutions that we are currently busy with already. We cannot divulge as much as yet, as we have to also sit with the OM. It's called a driehoek overleg. The chief prosecutor is currently on vacation. We're trying to get her so that we can have this meeting so we are all on the same line as the justice minister, the chief of police, and also the chief prosecutor. To go more in depth, as the chief just said, when we mentioned the name of the young man that was killed, we have the suspect already. Yes, it was not publicized, but we have the suspect already. Furthermore, I rest assured that I am doing my due diligence. Mr. John also was not even on the island, and I call him after hours. He picks up the phone, and we have our meetings, and we deliberate on how we're going to move forward. So it's nothing that, it's not an 8. We all know that it's not a 9 tot 5 instelling. It's not a 9 to 5 job. It's a job where it requires a lot of assistance, a lot of attention, and we are doing our due diligence to get it done. As a former police officer, former detective, and a former national detective, this is the reason why the cooperation between myself and Chief John is so great in order for us to continue combating the crime that we have. So in the coming days, we will have a solution. With regards to the entire question and answering, that, yes, I need a week, but I do not need a week with regards to your security and safety. We already spoke on the matters. It can be discussed on closed doors. As there are certain things I would like to deliberate, and I do not think that this is the setting for us to have that deliberation. Okay, so I thank you.
To the honorable members of Parliament, as was mentioned, the minister would need some time. I know that everyone is eager to hear, but like I said, the minister made mention that he needs about a week. And within that time, he'll be back and he can answer the questions in full, and everyone can feel a little bit safe, I would like to say. So at this present moment, I will adjourn the meeting until further notice. Meeting adjourned.
SXM, your social and health insurance. SXM, your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah, your social and health insurances.
Bizarre. That's how Prime Minister Andrew Holness describes the circumstances which led to the death of a detective and an inmate at the Halfway Tree Police Station in St. Andrew Monday afternoon. Mr. Holness was speaking a short while ago at the contract signing of the St. Catherine North Police Headquarters.
My deep and sincere condolences to the officer who lost his life in a really bizarre incident at the Halfway Tree Police Station.
Meanwhile, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake says the St. Catherine North Police Headquarters project will cost some $2.2 billion.
Represents a substantial investment in the safety and security of our community. I'm aware that the necessary pre-construction activities have been completed, hence this contract signing ceremony, and it therefore gives me confidence that the project will be executed according to plan and within the expected time frame. And this project is a vital part of the government's Project Rock initiative launched 6 years ago.
It's been over 2 weeks since the passage of Hurricane Beryl, and hundreds of Jamaicans remain without power. This has affected the ability of food establishments to store perishable items safely. Chief Public Health Inspector for St. Anne, Leroy Scott, warned that they lack the necessary equipment, posing a significant risk to public health.
We have so far condemned in excess of 330 kilograms of meat products, particularly meat products from commercial entities, which either suffered because they did not have adequate refrigeration or backup power supply to run their refrigeration units. And so the products were either spoiled or were in a state that they could not be safely consumed.
Mr. Scott emphasized that shelved items requiring refrigeration must be consumed within hours after being prepared.
We caution individuals, therefore, during this time, to be careful with their purchases, particularly of meat products, dairy products, including milk, milk-based juices and drinks, that those products should be refrigerated, or if you buy from the shelf, once it is opened, it must be refrigerated or you consume the entire amount.
The public health chief is urging residents to remain vigilant and take necessary precautions to avoid foodborne illnesses.
So we are now going to have to be buying and eating day to day. Even tin products, they are safe once the tin is sealed. But once it is opened, it is exposed to contamination and therefore will deteriorate and can be harmful if you don't have refrigeration. So an advice to all persons, it's tin product and it's safe, but once it is open, it's no longer safe.
Mr. Scott says the public health team will continue its monitoring of food establishments in the parish.